It is 104.5, man, the hottest show in the world. Mr. 3 to 7. And I'm always honored and I'm always privileged, I know, to have conversations, sometimes with some big names and sometimes with some people that I know that's doing some amazing things. And it's a super duper honor and a super duper privilege to have a guest that I have today coming through, man, of Cox Chronicles podcast. Some of them know him as TC. Some of them might call him Lamar. Some of them might just call him T. He's with me, man. I got Mr. Cox himself. TC, what's up, man?
Chilling, man. I appreciate you, man, for having me on, man. It's all love this way.
Oh, absolutely, man. Absolutely. For those that don't know, for those that don't know background, don't know where you're from, don't know any of those good things, let them know where you're from and all that good stuff, bro.
Man, listen, I'm a 42-year-old young man out here from straight out of Chatham County, man. 919, Goshen, North Carolina. Small farming, blue collar town, man. About what, 45 minutes from Fayetteville.
Yep.
We right in the heart of North Carolina, man. That's where we at.
For sure. Small town of Ghosting, but even being from a small town, you always had the big dream or the big idea, even to help people, man. You did a stint at working at the Boys and Girls Club in Sanford and had the opportunity to touch a lot of children's lives, bro. What made you wanted to get into that lane and just touch the kids first before you, because you already knew the adults, but you specifically wanted to touch the kids at that moment.
And I'm gonna tell you, man, growing up in a small town like Goshen, man, everybody knew each other, but we didn't really have the opportunities that other people had. And my father, he started a group, him and some more community leaders started a group called the Goshen Boys Club. And we traveled and they took us to experience several things, man, college tours, college basketball games. And when I got older, I had went to HBCU, North Carolina A&T State University in Greensboro. And I wanted to bring that experience back to my hometown. And during that period of time, my cousin Solomon McCauley was the middle school director at the Boys and Girls Club of Lee County. Mm-hmm. Fast forward, when I moved back home, he was like, "Come volunteer with me, man. Just see what it's all about." I was like, I was reluctant at first. I volunteered with him a little bit, and actually earned me a job with Miss Yvette Fairley. She gave me a shot, man. She was like, "I think you could do this." So that was my stepping stones. And then when Solomon elevated and he, left the position, it was offered to me. And it fell in my lap. And I was like, this is the prime opportunity from God to, fulfill what I like to do, and that's helping others. From a young kid, I just like helping people, man. It's in my blood. My parents, my grandparents, we just like helping. And when I got the opportunity, through Miss Yvette to get my foot in the door, and then Miss Safanya, who was the unit director at OT Sloan, Boys and Girls Club, which, later became the Boys and Girls Club of Central Carolina. Mm-hmm. She was like, Solomon's leaving. Would you like this position? And I ran and jumped into the position. And I had people behind me like yourself, like Solomon pushing me. My homeboys, Henry and Russell, they was like, you can do this, man. Whatever help you need, I got you. Dion Allbrooks. So I was standing on shoulders of people who've been in the movement of the Boys and Girls Club for a long time, and they welcomed me with open arms. They gave me an opportunity to do something that Solomon had built up, and I was allowed to, build on top of the foundation that he had. And it was just go ahead.
I think one of the most interesting pieces is that you actually had the opportunity to see a lot of people talk about how talented at one point Sanford was when it came to the athletic side of things. And people don't realize that you actually had the opportunity to see some of those guys and watch them grow into men now, because most of them are grown men at 20 plus, but you had the opportunity to actually see some of those guys in their adolescent stage grow up in sports and just grow up in the manhood, man. How does it feel now to just kind of look back and see those guys now, and now they can get into places that you can get into because they grown adults?
Man, listen. I want to pay homage to you because you was one of the ones I seen grow up through the Boys and Girls Club, and you may did spend a lot of time there, but you came back, man, as a young professional. You came and you helped mold those King rituals that came through. keeping it band, you introduced me to a lot of these guys who came through the club. You're like, man, T, you know who that is? I was like, that's King Richmond. You know what I'm saying? That's Aaron Millette who came through. That's Aaron Blockman who came through. These guys came through, went D1, you know, with professional, you know, NFL, NBA. These guys came through and never forgot the Boys and Girls Club. And that was a major, major ordeal for me because they never got larger than their hometown. They never got larger than their footsteps and their stepping stone. And just to reach out and see these young men now, they're still reaching back to help their youth, man. You know, they didn't forget anything that, you know, they made the stardom, they had the success, but they're still reaching back to help. And that does my heart great wonders, man. And also shout out William Johnson, Mr. J, the balloon, man. He was a huge, vital part of me being around the movement of the Boys and Girls Club.
And it's crazy because most people that's from where we from, the stigma is that once you graduate high school, you either gonna do one or two things. I hear it all the time, and it's sometimes disheartening. But it's just the elephant in the room. We hear it, you've heard it. Either you're gonna do one or two things. You either gonna when you from the small city of the Sanfords and those areas, you either gonna sell drugs or you're gonna go to somebody's jail. How was it so hard at that time? You was defining a different mold for what people thought youth were at that moment, especially African American youth. You know, most of the time they see a bunch of African American youth, they think that's going to be some rowdy, but you was creating something, passport to manhood, that was super duper crazy. And we gonna get into that a moment that I remember from the passport to manhood. But how was it hard for you at just trying to get support, at trying to get support to help these kids? Because you know, right now, a lot of times people look at kids and they feel like that there's no hope for them, but you never lost hope in some of these kids. How hard was it for you just to keep the faith and just keep going in spite of the support or without the support?
When I tell you hard, man, many nights I cried, man. Nobody knew. You know, as an African American male trying to reach back and pull these kids, like you said, out of the stigma, out of the mud, you know, trying to set a good example for them. I really had to depend on their parents. The parents that I had for those 10 years at the Boys and Girls Club were next to none, man. Everything I asked them to do, they was there. Even some of the ones who didn't want to help, they helped because they knew it was for the well-being of their kids, man. And I always told them, I'm gonna treat your kids like they're my own. And when you hear that as a parent, when you hear that, you know, a lot of people second guess it. But I did. I treated these kids like they was my own. I brought them to my house. They spent the night. You know what I'm saying? I went to the rec games. I went to the middle school games. I went and ate lunch. The major thing was being consistent, man. That was the hardest thing. And not get support. You know, people, oh, you want to do this, you want to do that. Man, listen, when I started Boys and Girls Club, I wasn't nowhere close to making $10 an hour, man. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't about the money, it was about the impact. You know what I'm saying? It was those, you know, males that would say, thank you, Mr. TC, or will you come eat lunch with Mr. TC? If they thought enough for me to invite me to eat lunch during the week, come on, man. Come on, you got to be selfless, and it's bigger than me.
Yeah.
That's what I had to get in the back of my mind. It's bigger than me. You know what I'm saying? I got the clasped hands on my chest saying Boys and Girls Club, but it's what's behind those hands, man. The heart, the blood, sweat, and the tears, man, trying to, you know, give these kids an outlet. You know what I'm saying? I had one young man one year, he told me the furthest he been away from Sanford was the Cary.
Oh boy.
Said, listen, man, what we gonna do? Where you wanna go? He's like, I wanna go to Baltimore. Man, me and Dion loaded up them buses, man. We went to Baltimore, stayed for about 4 or 5 days. And you know, that's the stuff I remember. Then, you know, one year, Rachel Fox, let's go to ATL. ATL, hey, let's ride. You know, the kids, you know, a lot of the kids when Rachel and them came through, I was just starting the club, but they wanted to keep it going. You know, after they went out to college, went out to the military, these kids was reaching back. And that's the consistency that I needed to keep me going. You know, once they leave, they really didn't forget what I done for them while they was there. And, you know, just seeing the kids now, you know, in their different careers. I work with some of my former BGC kids. You know, their career paths have crossed mine. Their families, their parents, their husbands, their wives. And it's just beauty through the ashes, man, to see where they came from, and still getting thanks and inbox from parents for helping their kids reach another level. But the hardest thing was, just turning the whole stigma around that we're actually here to help and not here to hurt. We're not a babysitting service. We're here to mold these kids for a better future.
For sure, for sure. This is a moment, we were talking about the passport to manhood. This is a moment that I remember. I'll never forget this. We used to spend a lot of time when y'all used to do the lock-ins with the guys. And for those that don't know what passport to manhood was, it was about turning boys into men, teaching them how to tie ties, teaching them how to treat women, teaching them how to be respectful. So many different areas that it takes to enjoy and to conduct manhoodship. I don't even know if that's a word, but I just made one. But in order to be one, and I remember one night y'all had a presentation. Matter of fact, it was 2 nights, and I don't even know if it was the same night because you've done it so often. One night they had gathered the boys up and everybody went outside, and this particular night was about how you can get caught in the wrong thing at the wrong time, in the wrong place at the wrong time. So the boys was gathered up, and they were breaking down the science. Brother TC and shout out to Pop Dion, breaking down the science. And I'll never forget this, man. And I always wanted to ask you, whose idea was it for shout out to Henry, man. Shout out to Henry. So I'm the adult in the joint, helping the homies, helping the brothers out. And I'm standing around in a circle. And at that time, I was doing parties and hosting parties and everything. So, I'm always on my P's and Q's, especially in situations like that. Well, this particular presentation to show these guys exactly how you can get caught in the wrong thing at the wrong time. I think Henry was standing way somewhere else in the park. And he fired a shot in the air. That scared the piss out of me. Man, that was one moment that I said that I knew right then that, and it's crazy. Sometimes the only way you can get through to people is you have to go unconventional. You have to go unconventional. That's the only way they can learn. That's the only way they can see is through visualization. Now, mind you, nobody got hurt in this. Everybody watching, nobody got hurt in this. But the point of the matter was, it was to make you understand that this can happen when you not where you supposed to be at. I'll never forget that. I don't know. I had to ask you, whose idea was it for Henry? Henry's a thinker too, man. I don't know whose idea that was. That was just one. And then the second one was the funeral home. And I don't know if that was the same night when they brought the casket in, just to let you know that at that time, kids were losing their life at a rapid pace, and kids were getting caught up in all kind of things, man, murders and all kind of things that had to do with crime. And the casket night was very interesting. Y'all had a little help with that. That was very interesting. It blew my mind again. Here we go, blow my mind again. How tough was it for you just to keep creating lessons for these kids that they can cherish to this day?
Listen, I forgot a young man. He was very vital too. Dennis Godfrey.
Yeah.
Dennis Godfrey was huge too, and in the passport to manhood sleepovers. He had played for the Dallas Cowboys, so he was another hometown hero. But that was Henry's idea, man, to get them blanks and to go on top of that hill, because we had some kids that were talking reckless, man. Yeah. It was like, oh, y'all having a sleepover, we gonna come show y'all what's up. Listen, this is not the time for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't take our kindness for weakness, man. This is not. We're trying to build these kids up. So, and a lot of them like, oh, I ain't scared of nothing. Oh, you ain't scared of nothing? We're going to see. And after that, it was actually 2 separate nights. When we did the casket, it was, this is what can happen. Don't think that this is far-fetched, that a small town like Sanford can't go through things. A small county like Lee County can't go through things, go through tragedies. These kids need to see this stuff and open their eyes, man. And, we had the parents' approval. We went through all the channels. This is what they thanked us after the fact, because their kids talked about this for days and weeks after. Like, this is what we experienced. And we had to let them know that, through tragedy, through surprises, through happenstance, these men that are staying with you, they have your back, man. The guys that you see every day after school, they have your back. You know what I'm saying? No matter where you are, no matter what you're going through, we always have your back. To this day, the Mr. Russells, the Mr. Henrys, the Mr. Solomons, the Mr. D's, the Mr. TCs, you know what I'm saying? Like, we got your back. The Mr. J's. Um, we look like you.
Yeah,
We hurt like you do. And we got your back regardless, man.
for sure, for sure, for sure, man. Listen, man, it is the count up, man. It wouldn't be the count up, and it wouldn't be 3-7 if we didn't have a little fun, man. We didn't have a little fun. So I'm gonna ask you a couple trending topics because I see the Blazers jersey in the back. So for those that don't know, TC is an avid he's an avid sports fan on any tangible sport. So I'm gonna ask you a couple questions. First question is simply this, and I want your honest opinion about. We read this last week. Tonight is this past weekend is we saw the NBA All-Star game and those that who are playing in the NBA All-Star game. Do you? And we also saw last week the trade deadline. We saw the league get shook up a lot. Now, I made this statement on a podcast, so Straight No Chase. And I shared it on my page, and I'm gonna drop this off on you, and I'm gonna see what you think of this. I made the statement. They were talking about LeBron James, passing the scoring record, and they were saying Kareem was the great. That's called cool. But I made this statement, and I believe that if I'm talking crazy, you hear what you think. I made the statement that Kareem would not have the record that he had in today's NBA. And people went crazy on the internet. They would comment, man, you crazy, man. He was 7 foot. But the point that I was making was the league that we watch now and we love so much is very guard dominant. There's not a big man in the league that's getting the amount of love that Kareem was getting in the 80s. But they still told me, man, you crazy. He'd have dunked all up. You can't dunk on a man when you ain't getting the peel. You got to get the ball. So I just want to drop that off of you and hear what you think on that, man. I said it. I stood on it too. I stood tall on it, and it was on the internet. Got so many comments, man. He talking crazy. But my point was, there's no dominant center in the league. That style of play we'll never see again. Simple as that.
Look, proof is in the pudding, man. And look, shout out to my boy Henry Hill, Lakers fan. That was the last dominant big man to come through is the Diesel, man. Listen, I'm an avid NBA fan. I'm an avid sports fan, like you stated. Kareem, he wouldn't have got 20,000 points in today's NBA. Because right now, if you look at the All-Star game, it ain't but, what, one or two true
it's
centers?
One center. It's
Embiid,
two.
Embiid and Joker. And the Joker. They the two. They the only two centers, man. And if you look at it, the top 10 players in the league, 2 of them are centers and the rest are small forwards and guards. Kareem would have had the shot, man. Like you said, without the ball, I watched the game the other night, man. The Clippers and the Suns. They had Mason Plumlee coming out the bench. Shout out to your little Dookies or whatever. Yeah, shout out. Had him coming out the bench. Good player, man. Rebound, defensive rebound. He don't get it. Kawhi Leonard gets it. Busts down the court. I mean, Mason the first one down the court. This man is posting up Chris Paul, man. He did not get the ball. You 7 foot and you posting up a 6'2" guard and you don't get the ball. How you gonna be all-time scorer, man? Not saying that Mason Plumlee is not saying that he's an ultimate scorer like that, but it's the game that's being played right now, man.
It's a different.
LeBron is playing the 5 on some nights.
Yeah, it's a different game. And I even asked you because a lot of people on Twitter have been saying that Steph Curry messed up the game of basketball, and they make that statement by saying, "Wonderful player, outstanding player, one of the best shooters, greatest shooters we ever seen in our time." But the statement was made simply because that nobody wants to play post anymore. Everybody wants to come down and shoot the three, the big 3-pointer from deep, one step past half court. Back in the day, that really was unheard of to do in a game situation. Just come down the court and you just fire up a 3. So I make the argument that his even though he's a great shooter, take nothing away from him, but if you look at his statistics and you look at his stat line, he takes more 3-pointers than he actually makes. So his percentage is not as great as some others in the league. And people are saying, "D, you tripping." But if you go right now and look at a recreation game, you can have a big man down there that's bigger than everybody. He's not posting nobody up. He out here shooting 3s.
He in the corner, man.
Yeah,
he in the corner.
He's trying to find him a 3.
That's why, the teams, the Warriors won the championship, man. Like you said, it ain't no true center. So They didn't have nothing to battle against. But they're saying, 35 to 45% shoot for 3-point is elite shooting. So you telling me every 10 shots you making 4 is elite shooting? Tell me, how many layups out of 10 is a big man gonna make? Maybe 7 or 8.
7 or 8 of them. He gonna miss one.
A sky hook, unblockable. And of course, you go back to some of his years they didn't have a 3-point line, so you can shoot far as you want to. It's still a 2, so why not throw it to the big man? And that's an argument we can have all day long, man. Take for instance my Blazers. We don't play no defense. They even put up 72 points, and our center got 2 with 3 rebounds, and we lost by 46. But everybody
how long do you think honestly that Dame will be in Portland before they either trade him or get or try to rebuild, or he wants to get a ring and go somewhere else?
He wants to get a ring, but we're a small market team and nobody's coming to Portland to play. You're gonna get aftermarket players, man. Like, he had to go through the Act of Congress to get Jeremy Grant to come out there. If we get a legit center, man, they ain't must stay there.
Why did they get rid of CJ McCollum though? And he's balling out with the Pelicans right now. It's kind of,
we need to get we wanted to get Anthony Simon some run. And 2 small guards, they was together for 6, 7, 8 years, man. And we didn't get past the Western Conference Finals. So, after a certain point of time, you got to break up the squad, man, and start over. It hurts my heart, man. We ain't won a league since the 70s, man, championship, man. But, I'm ride or die with the Portland Trailblazers, man. I ain't gonna forget about my Baltimore Ravens either. Shout out to them too.
Oh man, for sure. I gotta ask you one more question that's for those that's married now. When you was doing stuff with the children, you was married and had young family. How did you find a way? A lot of what I realized in this thing is a lot of couples married, dating, they find a hard time finding balance. They can't find the balance. It's either down or up, but there's not about. But somehow, some kind of way, you were able to find the balance. How did you find that balance in making impact in children's lives, but also being the husband at home?
The crazy thing is, I met my wife through the Boys and Girls Club. Shout out Miss Yvette, man, for playing Cupid. Shout out to the Lord for sending her into the armory that fateful day with that Sonic. But actually, she's a very understanding woman, and she saw my passion and my determination before I did. She was like, these kids need you, TC. And I'm like, what can I do? And don't get me wrong, we had our ups and downs through it. Finding the balance is I had to include her in a lot of things. I had to ask her about a lot of things. I had to shut down and say no to a lot of things because I had to take care of home first.
Sure.
For me to be the prime example to these kids, man, I got to show them what a real man is supposed to be like. And it took me a while. I'm still learning. I'm nowhere close to being perfect, man. But with my wife and the Lord holding my arms up, man, it was impossible for me to fail.
And I ain't gonna hold you. We had some, because I used to come over all the time. We done had some, Tasha done cooked us some good meals, boy.
Yeah, hey, that's my girl, man. I wouldn't trade her for nothing, man. Like, I am because of her. A lot of people, they give her shout outs and asking her how in the world she do it. But, the main thing was communication and telling her, like, babe, I'm doing this. I'm having a sleepover. You ain't got to worry about this. You ain't got to worry about that. But, when my time was up at the club, that's actually when our marriage took off, man, because I was home more. I'm still, trying to mentor the kids from afar and, making time for it. But sometimes you got to know when to hang it up, man, and know when to step away.
And now we're looking at a group of children. We're looking at a different breed, a different culture of kids, and it's crazy because I had the opportunity to host a pet rally at Lee Senior for their homecoming, and it just blew my mind that this isn't the same. Love Lee Senior, but this isn't the same Lee County High School that I once remembered. It's a beautiful thing. Evolution is a beautiful thing. But now what we're looking at is a different kind of generation that kind of wants it right now. They don't want to wait for nothing. We don't want to work hard for nothing. We don't want to be patient for nothing. We need it right now, or we ain't gotta have it. And I call it the crash dummy generation. Instead of asking those questions, they're willing to crash out and risk it all. Instead of asking the tough question and going through the process, man. Like where do you think that the generation flipped? Because before that generation was a very listening, very understanding, wanted to do kind of generation. Cause nowadays you don't really hear much people talk about the boys and girls, those programs like the Boys and Girls Club and daycares and NYSPs or youth programs anymore. It's like it just disappeared and went away.
Evolution of technology ruined a lot of things, man. During my last couple of years at the Boys and Girls Club, I knew it was time for me to go because I was scheduled, trips. Like we want to go to the mall, we want to go on college tours. Solomon had established that a long time ago, college tours. And when the kids stopped signing up, it's like I got to go. They would rather stay at the Boys and Girls Club in the middle school room on their cell phones and tablets and use the Wi-Fi instead of going to the mall, instead of going to athletic events, instead of going skate. When that happened, the technology age where, like you said, everything has to be right now at your fingertips. I got to post I'm eating popcorn. Everything is microwavable. Like if you ask somebody a question, if you can't Google it and pull it up right then, they're dumbfounded, man. And I knew right then it was a wrap, man. When people want to be kids want to be held down in a classroom setting and not go on a field trip, man, can't do it.
It's bad. Tell us about Cox Chronicles. Cox Chronicles podcast. And it's crazy because when I didn't even know what was going down. See, a lot of times I'd be on Facebook, but I don't. And people be like, how? Like I post and I get off. And I was perusing one night and I was like, I think Cuz is doing a podcast. And then I'm looking at you now, and you've never been the one that if you say you're gonna do something, it's gonna get done. You've never been the one to fake. Well, we used to say fake the jacks. He ain't gonna fake the jacks. He come from a long line of brother and father and mother that don't fake the jack. So when I seen you getting the equipment, and it's crazy because I say this is crazy because like for those that don't know, TC wants to learn. A lot of people ask questions and they'll get everything they need. They'll get it from somebody else and they get everything they need. And they'll be like, thank you, appreciate you. And then they done started their situation and they going on. But TC actually had people that he could have called and asked about pockets. But bro really wanted to learn, the passion for it, really wanted to learn. And you went out and you bought your own equipment. What clicked on that made you want to think about doing podcasting?
I'm gonna tell you, man. I was a couple years ago. I had a young lady, Miss Deborah Jackson. Man, I used to put statuses up, and then after that, I would hashtag Cox Chronicles. She was like, "You need to do this. You need to do that." I mean, she's like, "I don't know where the Cox Chronicles at. I mean, TC, what's going on?" And like, I just like, when the Lord give me like a status or a statement or something, Cox Chronicles. And I was like, look, what's this little purple thing on my iPhone, man, with the microphone? Podcast. So I started looking it up, man. Like, okay, I can do this. I started tinkering with it. Like, I get a microphone. I got the computer, get a microphone, get the headphone. Then I start, searching stuff. And when I really figured I could do a podcast, I was listening to Eric Thomas, man, #1 motivational speaker in eternity. You know what I'm saying? And he was like, "You owe you. You owe you." I'm like, okay, if you're gonna do something, man, do it. Like, stop being scared. You know what I'm saying? Just step out on faith. If it don't work, it don't work. If not one person listen to what I got to say, oh well, I'm still putting it out there.
I tried it.
And when I got that mentality, man, it was a wrap. And then, I keep coming back to you. You know what I'm saying? Like, cuz I'm going to host this party. I don't care if don't nobody show up, I'm gonna still be there. I'm gonna do what I got to do. You gonna hone your skills regardless. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. We down at Bud level. I'm following you. We everywhere, man. We at the Legion. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, Dee Dowdy, what the piss, man? I'm your equipment manager. You know what I'm saying? And just seeing people like you grind, I'm like, T, you can do it. You got a room in the house. You know what I'm saying? I know Tasha will go for it. And then at the end of the day, like I need something else to do besides sitting on the couch watching freaking TV, man. So get yourself a hobby. If anybody listen, get yourself a hobby, man. Start your podcast. Go in the woods, start hunting deer or something, man. You know,
Yeah.
just don't be a person. Just don't exist.
Yeah.
Do something.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Come on, man. This microphone, headphones free. You know what I'm saying? I found them in a bin somewhere here at the house. Microphone, $30. Got a daggone sound card over here. You know, Amazon work wonders, man. You
Yeah.
can get on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, TikTok can tell you everything to do, man. At
For
the end of the
sure.
day, I'm just like, if I fail at this, I got $40 invested, bro. I can waste $40 by going to McDonald's every day next week. And you know, and keep it a band, man. I wanted to be the next Stuart Scott when I graduated high school, man.
Oh,
I
wow.
went to A&T for broadcast production. Then I started talking to my little cousin. He was like, man, I'm under Mr. Freeman at CCCC. I'm doing this, man. I'm like, what? Like, I'm on the radio station at CCCC. I'm like, that's Dee Dowdy. Listen, I was like, I got to do it. I got somebody who done went through the grind that I could just ask and drop a hat. You know what I'm saying? Like, any question I got, you gonna answer for me. It may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but when you get time, you gonna shoot that text, you gonna shoot that inbox. Like, this is what you need to do, cuz, and then you gone. That's all I needed. I wanted to be, I'm not necessarily saying I want to be on radio, but this is the next best thing right here is a podcast.
Yeah.
You can speak your mind, you can be objective, people can, come on as guests or whatever. That's all it takes.
Wow.
And look, shout out to my co-host, matter of fact, I am Byron Foreman, man. He couldn't make it tonight, man, but he agreed to co-host the podcast with me, man, because it's kind of hard talking to yourself a lot.
Yeah.
But, we are Cox Chronicles podcast, man. We on Spotify and we on Apple Podcasts. Look us up.
Hey, listen, man. Y'all heard the man, man. You're going to hear him again. He's going to be back. We're going to be back. But we're going to definitely have to talk about when matter of fact, was you satisfied with, before we slide, was you satisfied with the Super Bowl ending? Was your football season satisfied with? And I already know a lot of objections feel like that maybe the Ravens could have been in that number had Lamar Jackson not decided to do what he's deciding to do at this moment. And do you think the Super Bowl? A lot of people are saying it was the best Super Bowl we've seen in a long time. What's your thoughts on that?
Honestly, man, talent wise, it was an excellent Super Bowl. The difference was coaching. Andy Reid been in this thing a long time, man. Coach Sirianni, he just getting into it. You know what I'm saying? He got out coach. Those two plays to score those two touchdowns, one to Sky Moore and one to Tony, that was the difference in the game. And it was the exact same play, just going to a different side. And that's all it takes in a Super Bowl. In a big game like that is one mistake, one adjustment, man.
I
If
do
you
feel
don't
like
adjust the right way.
I do feel like Jalen Hurts and then will be back. I don't think we've seen the last of Jalen Hurts. And
he played his tail off, man. But you know what I'm saying? I mean, when you're going against a champion, you really got to play perfect ball. He had that one turnover, that fumble recovery for a touchdown. That was the difference in the game right there.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it was a good Super Bowl, man. I could care less who won. You know what I'm saying? But
and what's the word on Lamar Jackson? Will he suit up in a Ravens uniform? Was he coming to Atlanta?
I'm gonna keep it a band with you, man. If they don't pay the man, he out of there. Either this year or next year. They're gonna try to franchise him or whatever. You got to pay the man. You know what I'm saying? You got quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers. Yes, he got one championship, but he making $45 million almost a year, man. You gonna have to pay Lamar.
You gotta give him that. You gotta give him his worth, man. You gotta give him.
But on the flip side, he got to stay healthy. Last 2 years, he done bailed out the last 8 games of each season, man. It ain't helping us, bro.
For sure.
It ain't helping.
Listen, man, it is the count up, man. Mr. 3 to 7, man. Thank you, TC. Thank you, man. We missed this on YouTube. It's live on the air, all that good stuff, man. We will be back. Let them know how they can get on Cox Chronicles podcast. If they want to listen, they want to download, get the updates on their phone about the episodes that drop. Let them know how they can do that.
Yes, we on Facebook, Cox Chronicles Podcast. You can email us at coxchronicles@gmail.com. Let us know what you want to hear. Let us know if you want to be a guest, man. We're here for your listening pleasure.
For sure. Keep it locked right here to Fayetteville's first and only choice for hip hop and R&B. It is 104.5